All right, welcome. In today's video, I want to talk about the best markets to rehab houses in. In another video, I talked about why not to rehab in low-income markets. So I want to take a minute and just talk about the ideal markets to rehab in. Now, when it comes to wholesaling or quick flipping, it really doesn't matter. Any market works because you're not doing anything. You're just assigning your contract and getting paid to do so. But when it comes to rehabbing, buying a property with the intent to fix it up and sell it to a retail buyer, it definitely matters what market you do that in, okay? And I talked about the downside of low-income market, some of the pitfalls of trying to rehab in a low-income meaning usually under 100,000 kind of sale price or retail price under 100,000, I consider low income. Now, there's definitely tiers that go up from there. So once you start getting over 100,000, maybe 150,000, you start to hit that first-time home buyer market. And I'm generalizing here. Obviously, there's markets in New York and Baltimore and LA or whatever where the price scale's different. But generally speaking, most markets, when you get to about the 150,000 to 250, you're hitting that kind of first-time home buyer market. Now, in most markets, that falls under FHA financing, or FHA financing qualifies for that first-time home buyer. And FHA has some pretty loose guidelines. It's the easiest financing to get with requirements as far as down payment and credit and so on. So you have a lot of buyers when you're rehabbing and flipping at that price point, that first-time buyer market, that are FHA borrowers. They're getting FHA financing. Now, there's some downsides to that as well. A lot of them need concessions, and FHA will allow up to 6%. The rules may change, but according to right now during this video, up to 6%. That means you as the seller can contribute 6% towards their closing costs and prepaids. But they also, they have a harder time, qualifying for financing. Sometimes they need assistance with, their down payment money. There's a lot of times they have gifting going on with family, and it's just a much tougher borrower to get qualified to buy your homes. Okay, now here's the other thing as well. When you're gonna renovate a house, let's say you're gonna buy it for $75,000, put 25 into it, so your total capital investment's 100,000, and let's say you're gonna flip that for 140 or 150 and try to clear 20, 25,000. Great deal, right? Awesome deal. Now, here's the thing. It's just as much work to do that deal I just described as it is to do a higher end deal outside of FHA into a higher price point market than it is there. So let me give a different example. The next step up from FHA is your conventional buyer. Now, conventional typically means 20% down. So now you're getting up in the over 300,000 to 600,000 range is typically conventional buyers. These are usually dual income, they're high earners, they put 20% down. They are so much easier to work with, a buyer trying to buy your house, if you're flipping in a little bit higher income area out of first-time buyers into the conventional market. Now, another benefit to flipping in the 300 to 600 range is there's less competition, okay? Because there's less fix and flip investors that are buying homes for 200,000 and putting 50 or 75,000 into it and then selling it for 475 or whatever, 500. There's less investors targeting those markets than there are buying something for 75,000 and putting 25 into it. You're cutting down the competition, I would say, a fourth or a third or whatever, less competition in that price point. So that's why I like to do it. And the number one benefit of it, obviously, is if you're following the formula, then your profits are higher. Same amount of work, you're still doing a kitchen, you're still painting, you're still renovating the house, but now you're making higher margins. Now you're making $50,000, maybe $75,000 on one deal that would normally take you 3 or 4 deals at the lower price points, okay? It's just as much work to do a little deal as it is to do a big deal. And 300 to 600 is such a great price range because you're still not quite hitting that luxury home market where you have to be very specialized. When you start getting, in most markets, over 600 up to $1 million and even higher than that, you better know what you're doing. You better understand a luxury home market or you'll get your shirt handed to you, because there's things like does a $20,000 built-in refrigerator, should that be part of the renovation? Things like that, trim and fully furnished, and just a lot of different things go into luxury flipping versus that $300 to $600. So my point here I want to share with you is, in my opinion, this is my opinion, the best market to rehab houses is in the $300 to $600 price point. You get out of FHA, you're staying out of luxury, you're right in between there with the conventional buyers, easy to get them qualified, good profit margins on those deals, less competition, and there's still a very strong market for that $300,000 to $600,000 price range. Very strong market. Lots of conventional buyers buying there at that price point. So that's my recommendation. That's what I wanted to share with you, and I'll see you next time.